everyone. Thanks for joining the Atman Show. Agarwal Gupta. And Sonam, go ahead and give a brief introduction about yourself and the topic as well.
Hi, Namika. Thank you for having me on the show again. Sonam Gupta. I am an Indian born in Nepal. I am a fact enthusiast. I like to learn about why behind the things that we Indians believe in our culture. So I'm happy to be a part of this show today. Today we are going to talk about what happened after Mahabharata, the epic of Mahabharata. I know we have you read a lot about, heard a lot about Bhagavad Gita and the war of Mahabharata, but what really happened after that is what we are here to talk about today.
Okay. So let's begin. My first question is who survived after the 18 long days of fight between Pandav and Kaurav? Can you talk about a little bit about the fall of Yadavas, who were Yadavas, and the rule of Pandavas after Mahabharata? See, we know a lot of Mahabharata, but we don't know what actually happened after Mahabharata. You know?
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna take it in parts. So
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
start with like the first question, right?
Yeah.
So Mahabharata was a war for 18 days, right? And from what it is said that it was a war as big as it can be. There was a lot of deaths, lots of devastation, um, and like a lot of widows at the end of the day. At the end of the 18th day, the Pandavas survived. Krishna survived. Ashwatthama survived Dronacharya's son. Satyaki and Kritavarma survived. They are from the Yadav clan, Krishna's side, who was fighting. And Kripa and Yuyutsu survived. So just a handful of people only survived, and there was just a lot of deaths. So after the survivors, the Pandavas obviously won the war, and they were crowned. Yudhishthir was crowned. Hastinapur and Indraprasth were combined, and then the Pandavas ruled, and at the helm was Yudhishthir. So you mentioned, let's talk about the fall of Yadavas. So I would say before talking about the fall of Yadavas, let's talk about what happens after the war and how does Gandhari curse Krishna that leads to this fall of Yadavas, right? So the war is over, and the Pandavas with Krishna go to see Gandhari and Dhritarashtra. Obviously, Gandhari has lost all her 100 sons. And not just that, she's lost people because she had family on both sides. Pandavas were also her family, and Kauravas were her family too. So she's lost a lot of people. She was the queen, so she's lost a lot of her Sainiks who were working army and everything. Everybody's lost something. So there was this whole devastation that had happened, and she was grieving, and she was in sorrow, and obviously grieving for her sons. And she knew like these brothers were fighting amongst themselves, but then she looked at Lord Krishna. Because he was Lord, she knew he was the one being who had the power to stop the war. And so all her rage focuses on Krishna, because she believes you could have stopped this devastation, you could have stopped this war, and nobody would have died. And in that anguish, she curses him, like, how my entire clan was wiped out, your clan will also be wiped out. So that's the curse that Gandhari gives to Krishna. In that moment, Krishna just smiles and basically says nothing in the way accepting the curse. And he basically says, everybody will have to face whatever happens to them based on their karma. So my clan Yadavs will face whatever they do in their life. So if based on their karma, they have to get extinct, then so be it. But me ending the war, it's not on me. It is how you raised your son, and you gave your son everything you wanted. So you have also a play in this, and you led it to this war. So kind of he explains it to her, and then she then kind of feels sorrow, and she apologizes for cursing Krishna. So that basically starts this. After this, when Pandava starts ruling, they rule for 36 years. Within that, the Yadav clan become very powerful under Krishna. They are, they gain a lot of power. And after some point is, when you get a lot of power, you start abusing it, and you start committing bad acts. So the Yadav clan had started doing that. And towards like the end of the 36 years, this is what starts happening, is Krishna's son, and I don't know when this happened, but Krishna's son, Sambh, he dresses. There's some rishis who come to town, and Krishna's son, along with some other Yadav friends, they think, oh, let's go trick these rishis. So Sambh dresses as a pregnant woman. And then because these rishi munis are very powerful and they're seers, so they can tell what it is. So he dresses a pregnant woman and goes to these rishi munis and say, hey, can you tell me if it's a boy or girl? So obviously these rishi munis know what's happening. So they get really angry for Krishna's son insulting them or making fun of them. And they curse Krishna's son that you're going to give birth to an iron rod, and that's going to lead to the destruction of the Yadav clan. So next day, it does happen. The Krishna son gives birth to an iron rod. And because this curse was placed upon them, what they do is they grind that iron rod into powder and throw it in the nearby ocean, Arabian Sea. There was this small part of that iron rod that's a triangle shape that they couldn't crush any further, so they just throw that in the sea as well. So basically that happens. What happens is in that sea, there is how the ocean, the waves come on the shore. So because of that iron in that ocean and the waves on the shore, there is a special types of grass that is grown, which is kind of blade-like on the shore because of that iron. So just to know, on that beach, that grass now grows. So after that, the story is the two survivors, Satyaki and Kritavarma. They are part of the Yadav group, and once they go on a picnic by this beach ocean, the entire Yadav clan goes, and all the men go. And then one Satyaki and Kritavarma, one person fought from the Pandava side, one person fought from the Kaurav side, and they start having argument amongst themselves about something related to the war, like how they killed the sons of the Pandavas at night, and how it was not a good thing, and all of that. They just starts fighting with each other, and because this leads into a physical fight, and then they start picking up this blade that I'm talking about, the grass blade from in that shore, and you start using that to stab each other and kill each other. So what happens is, because of that fight, all the Yadav clan men fight amongst themselves and kill each other in that fight. And only 4 people survive, Balram, Krishna, and their 2 Sarathis. So that's the fall of the Yadavas story.
Okay. Can you talk about death of Lord Krishna after Mahabharata and Dwarka drowns in sea? Is it because of the iron rod that the Dwarka drowned under the sea, or is it something else?
Well, it's the curse of Gandhari that your clan and Dwarka all will disseminate, right? So what happens is, after this Yadav and all the people die, Krishna and Balram, they go into the forest and kind of stay in the forest. In the forest, Balram also kind of turns into Sheshnags and leaves his body. And so Krishna is sitting one day under a tree, and there is this hunter who's hunting for deer, comes into the forest. And because Krishna is sitting or lying down, he thinks that Krishna is a deer, and he shoots his arrow. Now, the story of the arrow is, this arrow's point is made from that triangular shape of that rod that was remaining in the ocean. He goes fishing, he catches a fish, and when he cuts open the fish has that triangular shape in its stomach because it must have eaten it. So the hunter uses that triangle and makes it a poison tip to kill the deer, and then uses that to shoot at Krishna. And because it's poisoned, obviously it kills Krishna. But when the hunter sees that he shot Krishna instead of deer, he really cries and begs for forgiveness. And that is when Krishna tells the hunter that, no, this was my time to leave the earth. I've done what I needed to do. And this is also how I am paying for my karma, because when I was in my previous birth as Ram, I killed you from behind. You were Bali. So this is why you've taken rebirth and now you killed me. So this was meant to be. That's basically the teaching is about karma. No matter, even if you're a god, you will pay for what you've done. So that's what he says. So this was meant to be. Don't worry. Now it's my time to go, and Krishna passes away. So Krishna passes away. The Yadavs die. So basically, it's because of the curse, and it's more about the water level rises, and we talk about glaciers melting. It is one of the critical events that happen, and then Dwarika drowns in that.
Okay, can you talk about Pandava's journey to heaven?
So, little bit of tale story from that is because now Dwarka is drowning. Krishna knows, Yadavs has all died and everything's happening. Krishna sends one of his Sarathi who's remaining to Arjuna for help. So Arjun comes and tries to help all these. Now only women, children, and old men are remaining in Yadav clan. So they basically, Arjun also learns about Krishna's death. So he's very, very grief stricken, and he takes all these women, children, and old men out of Dwarka and decides to take them into Hastinapur. And then Dwarka starts drowning. On the way to Hastinapur, they get robbed by some dacoits. And what happens is Arjun is not able to save them. Now, Arjun is known for this bowmanship. He was the greatest warrior. And when he's trying to fight these dacoits, he forgets the mantras. His arrows finish. So he's like, what is happening to me? Nobody could have ever won a battle against me, and now I can't save these women and children. So he loses a lot of women and children, and whoever is remaining, he brings them to Hastinapur, and he's very shocked at what happened to me. So he goes to Rishi Vyasa, and he tells him of what had happened, and he's like, I'm just very depressed. What's happening? And then Vyasa Rishi says that Pandava's purpose on earth is done. Now you guys can, start your journey towards heaven. So after that, Arjun goes and tells Yudhishthira this, and then they all decide, all the 5 brothers with Draupadi, they decide that they are done. They crown Parikshit, who's Abhimanyu's son and Arjun's grandson, as the king of Hastinapur, and they start their journey towards Mount Sumeru and heaven. Okay. Would you like me to go forward with what happens on their journey?
Yeah, exactly. That is important because, I've heard that everyone dies on the way and only Yudhishthira remains. So can you talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So they do, it is said that they do a quick tour of their India and, their counties, and then they start climbing Mount Sumeru up their way to heaven. So the first one to die is Draupadi. Obviously a lot of it is said that, Draupadi was vain, and, a lot of Mahabharata is kind of blamed on her and everything. So she's the first one to go. It is said that the deaths were happening based on their sins. So Draupadi dies, and a lot of all these
Draupadi's sin, she was very proud. She was
vain. Yeah, she had a lot of pride and vanity in her beauty. Obviously, she also caused a little bit of disrespect to Dhritarashtra, right? When she said "Andhe ka putra andha," son, blind son. So just a little bit of that. She had the most. I guess she had committed the most of the sins amongst the 6 of them. So she goes first.
Okay.
And then the next is Sadev. Sadev was known to be very intelligent. He had his father's gifts of seeing. He could see in the future, and he had good wisdom. So he was very proud of that wisdom. He thought that he was the most intelligent and wisest of all. So next is Sadev to go. It was that pride and his wisdom that took his life. After that, it was Nakul. Nakul was known to be the most handsome of all. in that era, he's known for his beauty. So I think he had very vanity and arrogance in his beauty. So he died because of that. Then died Arjun. With Arjun, even though he was known for his bowmanship, he wasn't the best warrior, because Karn was also as good as him. Eklavya was also as good as him. So he had a lot of insecurities and jealousy because others were also good. And then, of course, he had a lot of pride because he was, well-known warrior. So then goes Arjun, and then in the end, last goes Bhim. Bhim died because his love for food. Gluttony was his sin. So then dies Bhim. So in the end, by the way, there's another story. As soon as when they're starting their journey, there is a dog that joins them on their journey, and that dog is Yam in form of a dog. So at the end, Yudhishthir and the dog reach at the top. And when they reach at the top, Indra comes with his chariot to welcome Yudhishthir in completing the journey. So when Indra comes, there is a final test Yudhishthir has to take. Is Indra says, "Okay, I've come to take you. It is because of the kind of pure life you've led. You are not. You are the only one to survive. So I'm here to take you to heaven." So Yudhishthir says, "Well, this dog has also completed this journey with me, and it was a tough journey. So this dog should also come." And Indra says, "No, I cannot have a dog sit on my chariot. So dog is not allowed to come. You come." So they argue over it, but Yudhishthir puts his foot down and basically says, "If dog doesn't go, then I won't go." So it's basically the standing up for dharma is what pleases Indra, and that Yam. And then it's revealed that this dog was actually Yam, and then he passes his last test, and then he gets on the chariot, and he wins this right to go to heaven as a human. Yudhishthir is still a human while that happens. So there's another just this thing. When I was little, I heard that because Yudhishthir had everybody dies, but Yudhishthir had done one sin in his life. He loses his pinky finger during that journey up to the heaven. And in some cases, like they say, because he had committed that sin, he has to journey through hell to get to heaven, like take a tour of hell to get to heaven. So it's different versions, but
But
ultimately,
why
I
did
think,
he lose his pinky finger? What happened?
yeah. So during the war, it was impossible to kill Dronacharya, the guru. They were the guru of all the Pandavas and Kauravas. It was impossible to kill him. It was unstoppable. So then Krishna devises a plan that the only way to calm Dronacharya down is to basically say that Ashwatthama died, his son. But Ashwatthama had a boon from Lord Shiva of immortality. So Ashwatthama could not die, and especially in this battle, he couldn't die. So what Krishna says, so they basically go to Yudhishthir and say that you have to tell Dronacharya that Ashwatthama died, and he would only believe it from you because you don't lie. But Yudhishthir is like, "I'm not going to lie." So basically what Krishna does is he has Bhim kill Ashwatthama named Elephant. So and that way, when Dronacharya comes, Yudhishthir can say Bhim killed Ashwatthama, and it wouldn't be a lie. It would still be truth because it was the name of the elephant. But because he did that, and then of course, Shikhandi killed Dronacharya after that. That was the sin that Yudhishthir did, that which either made him lose his pinky finger or had made him go through like a round of hell. So
Yeah, so basically, it says that the Pandavas actually go to hell, and then finally there is a reunion in heaven. They have to go through hell to come to heaven.
yeah,
Can you explain that?
yeah. So Yudhishthir goes to in the chariot. Yudhishthir gets to heaven, and then he sees that Karn is there. All the Kauravas are there. Duryodhan is there, and he's like, "Okay, where are my brothers?" And they're like, "Oh, they're in hell." So, and he was like, "Take me to hell immediately." He's like, "Why are Kauravas in heaven and my brothers are in hell?" Right? Like, so he's very appalled by it. So Then the Indra takes him to hell, and he sees that the Draupadi and her brothers are in hell, in pain, paying for their sins. So basically, and he's like really baffled. So he asks Indra, "Why are my brothers in hell? Like we did this because, we did this for the right, for the justice. Why are we paying for this?" So he explains that even though like you were on the right side of the war, we all committed sins in our life, and because of that, because of the sins committed by them, they have to pay for their sins in hell. And that was the period of time they're going to spend in hell, and it is something you have to do to pay for their sins. And everybody, like you see Kauravas in heaven, but they like, it goes either way. Either they're spending a little bit of time in heaven and then they will go to hell, or they've already spent their time in hell and then they'll go to heaven. But he explains that the reason the Kauravas are in hell was like Duryodhan is in heaven is because Duryodhan was never a coward. He was brave and he was a good king. He was fair to his people of his country, and then he also died in the battlefield doing the duty that he believed in, and that is the reason he also went to heaven. So it was the more of the moral was like, no matter what, you will experience both hell and heaven depending on the karma, the activities you do in this life. So then basically Yudhishthir takes the tour, and finally he reaches heaven, and then later his Draupadi and his five brothers also come in heaven, and then they've all paid for their sins, and they all reunite in heaven, and they have no more rivalry, no more greed, nothing else, and everybody kind of reunite in heaven after that.
So basically, what I'm hearing is like heaven and hell is not a like a final destination. You could be sometimes in hell based on the sins you've committed. You can also come back to heaven. So it is like, it is because yes, a person is both. He can commit sin and he can commit good things also. So
Yeah, so it's a
yeah.
concept, right? We've not seen heaven or hell, and it's and I feel like sometimes these story kind of give us the moral that you cannot like, oh my God, I've done this, I'm gonna go to hell, so why do anything good? Like you cannot have that attitude in life, or I've done all these good, so many good things, so I can do bad things. No, like your every deed is what you're gonna pay for, right?
Yeah.
Your good deeds are gonna go to heaven, and bad deeds are gonna go to hell. And I personally think that heaven and hell is just a concept, kind of to make it easy for people to grasp. In reality, could be we pay for our sins in this life over here with good or bad that happens to us, or afterlife, or in another life, right? We Hindus believe in reincarnation, so but it helps understand the concept of good heaven and bad hell. Kind of helps that with that correlation.
Yeah, I kind of believe that we have 14 lokas. I think if you heard about it, like we are in the Bhu Loka, then we have Bhuvar Loka, and then we have Swarg Loka, and below we have Patal Lok, and the lower planetary system. So
Mhm.
basically, therein, you have to suffer there because there is more greed, anger, and things like that. So once you've paid your dues of your sins, you can always go to your higher lokas.
So
But
you elevate to a higher dimension based on your deeds, right? So, okay.
exactly, yeah, because you would have committed, some sins, even though you are on the right side, and even though you do good, but sometimes unknowingly,
Mhm.
even unknowingly, if you commit a sin, you have to, experience hell for some time. You have to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Agree totally.
All right, it was a great discussion. Do you have anything to say to my viewers of the Atman Show before I let you go?
It was a great conversation. It was great talking to you, and hopefully you continue tuning in.
Okay, sure. And we'll come again with another topic. Have a nice day.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you.